I'm trying really, really hard to
It is
not
hard.
hold on to those emotional things I can't control, right? All that outside input that
Hmm.
I could latch onto and it could ruin my day, or I can just be like, maybe they're having a worse day than I am, and they just that was their outlet, and it's okay. So
I will
it's real
say
hard.
it is a real challenge to, we make up the story of what's happening when we don't always
Yes.
know the facts, whether it's traffic or our partner or
Hmm.
our coworkers at work. And so, if we can try to help ourselves reframe that, not only does it help set a good example for others, but it helps you kind of be in a better mindset.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer
who have teamed up to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim.
Welcome back for another episode of Reframe and Reclaim. I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And we're coming up on the end of February. And I didn't know this, and I don't know if you, the listener, know this, but February 26th is National Set a Good Example Day.
Oh.
Yes. So I think we could all lean into this a little bit, right now. And so, Courtney, wanted to talk to you about what are ways that you set a good example, whether it's at work or at home. How have you set a good example in your community?
Oh my goodness. Well, I will say it's not always easy to set a good example. We're all a little human and a little imperfect, but I will say the first place I try to set a good example is at home,
Mm.
especially when you have children. And so, one thing that I have put into practice since we've done our Reframe and Reclaim book is setting a good example by kind of making sure that I'm cleaning up after myself at night. We have a habit at the end of the day, my little boy, to pick up his clothes, pick up his toys for the day. I'm finishing, cleaning up the kitchen after dinner. My husband's helping with the dishes and putting food away if needed. And so it is like a family affair at the end of the day. We're all kind of closing up the house, we're wrapping up the day, we're
Mm-hmm.
all doing it together. And that's been a really great activity for all of us to contribute. And so, not just saying, hey, you got to clean up your room, but also I'm cleaning up my part as well. What about you? What are some ways that you're trying to, or maybe you're unaware that you have been setting a good example?
Well, I will say, as a recovering perfectionist,
Mm.
whenever I hear like setting a good example, I go back to me as like a teenager and lectures and things I would get where it's like, well, you have to set a good example and you're a role model and all this. And like,
Doesn't feel
it
good.
does not feel good. I'm like, I don't want to be a role model. I'm not, because I felt like you had to be perfect, right? And so it's like, I don't want to have that much pressure and responsibility on myself because
Mhm.
don't look over here at this car crash going on over here. So um so it's something I've struggled with, to accept that that's just what it is, have to reframe that.
Mhm.
But definitely at home, trying to set a good example, with decluttering, specifically not attaching too much emotion to our items. So I'm really trying to teach my kids how to, not only declutter, but how to periodically check in, look at our
Evaluate.
things, evaluate, let it go, and walk through the reasons why is this okay to let go, or why are we holding on to it, and just acknowledging those feelings and what it is. And again, it's like, well, I just want it, or oh, I'm going to play with it. And then being able to check in 6 months later, it's like, okay, you said you were going to play with it. Did you play with it?
Some
No.
accountability.
Yes, exactly. And so then they're like, yeah, no, I didn't. We can let it go. Or it's, I didn't, but I really, really want to. And then maybe, then
Another,
they play with it.
yeah.
So that's been really, really helpful because I'm trying to break that, tradition. We can have a positive spin on it. Break the tradition of just passing on things. So,
Yeah. I will say we've gotten our son involved as well. Like we've been really fortunate. Jen has boys that are a little bit older than my boy, so we get a lot of hand-me-downs, and we are so thankful for the clothes and the toys and the books and
Mhm.
the supplies along the way. But we've had the example from you and your boys that have passed things down to my boy, and we're practicing. Okay, what have we outgrown? Who could we give this toy to if we're not playing with it anymore? And so it's been really neat to see him also practicing and making those decisions. Like, this is a three team, you're not three anymore, and it's getting a little short or a little
Mhm.
tight. Do we know of any 3 year olds that might be able to wear this one day? Or would like to play with this toy that you're not playing with anymore. It's been really neat to see him have the heart of wanting to give and being willing to let go of something if he's not using it or wearing it. There are some things that he says, no, this is still mine, and we let him have that choice. But I think he is seeing the example from your family, and it's definitely making an impact on him.
Oh. And we were very blessed. We were passed down a lot of those clothes too. And so it's nice to just be able to pass them on. One of the things that helped with my boys a lot is being able to really personalize it, right? So it's like, oh, this stuff is going to this person, or these items are going to go to this person. Like, oh yeah, they would really like this. We should
Yeah.
give this to them. So being able to attach a name to who it's going to is really powerful for kids, I
Yeah. And I think another thing is kids want to know that they're
think.
contributing.
Hmm.
A lot of times it's like, I'm big enough, look what I can do on my own. And so, if, it's not just the decluttering or the donating or the, cleaning up the toys, which all of those are super important, but also like contributing to the house in itself. I let my little boy um, have his way to make choice in his lunch. What would you like me to pack in your lunch tomorrow? And he knows there's certain things that the school doesn't allow him to have
Hmm.
and I don't let him have for lunch. And so he gets to pick some of those, snack items or like what's in his sandwich or what fruit goes in his lunchbox or the flavor of yogurt or applesauce. So letting him also make those decisions. So whenever he is older and making food decisions, he's already practiced that a little bit and he knows the limitations within lunch or breakfast time. And so he's being able to, do that whenever he's a little bit older.
Awesome. Another setting a good example when it comes to kids that we've used a lot in our home. We've talked about it before, but the platinum rule, which Courtney shared with us, several episodes ago. But it's not just, the golden rule is treat others how I want to be treated, and the platinum is treat others how they want to be treated. And, just setting that kind of tone and example in our home has really helped our boys be a little bit more empathetic to each other,
Yeah.
and understanding that we can't read minds, and so if I grunted at you, would you know what I meant? Well, no. Okay, well then, so you got to help me to help you.
Yeah.
So teaching those skills, and that step of treat others how they want to be treated, I think is a good example, not only in our house but just how to treat others, the playground, and in the world and community. So
Yeah. And I think that's, kind of talking about like treating others how they want to be treated. I take that and I expand it into my office practice.
mhm.
So I am treating other therapists that I work with, even therapists that I supervise, like how would I want someone to approach this situation with me? Or how would I want somebody to tell me about this if this were something that
Mm.
were going on? Also with our clients, a lot of times people are coming in, they have never been to counseling before, so we're really trying our best to be professional and ethical and compassionate, that empathy piece there. So really helping them walk through what counseling is, what counseling isn't, and then again, trying our best to teach and show healthy habits or create insight for clients who are needing insight or just supporting them walking through hardship or challenges in life. Yeah.
I will say too, going back to my perfectionistic tendencies as a kid, one another thing we've tried to do is setting an example at home. Is I try to make it that mistakes are okay, right? And I
Yes.
try to consciously point out when I have made mistakes that I'm comfortable talking about with them, But trying to let them see I'm human, I make mistakes, and it's just part of the learning process. and a lot with homeschool. Like we started homeschooling this year, and it's been a lot of growth and a lot of learning on everybody's
Yes,
parts,
we're all learning
right?
together.
And so just letting them know, like, let's communicate what's working, what's not, let's figure it out, and
And
learn
allowing them to
together.
have choice of
Yeah.
how did today feel for you? What did
Mhm.
you think about today? What do you think, we need to do to maybe have a solution to this situation or this challenge? It's
Yes.
allowing them to have that contribution, but you're opening up the space for that
Yeah.
and letting them have that voice.
Trying.
Within limits, not no school, but we can do this a little differently. And I think that's really important. It is hard to do homeschool. It is really hard to run a business. It's hard to write a book. But I think that's another thing that we are trying our best to do is not be perfect. We're not
Trying.
perfect moms. We are not perfect authors. We are not perfect podcasters. And with that, we're just trying to set a good example of what? If you're a person who has a passion and who has an experience and want to share that, hey, let's write a book and finding people to support you in that.
Yes.
And I think also like helping other people know that it's not just your responsibility when you're writing a book. It's not just your responsibility whenever you're cleaning a house. It's not just your responsibility making choices for what happens in your home. We all have and need community and support in that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So I think that all of us can be a good role model, helping others, uh, helping others have a good role model to look up to, trying to help others and support others in different ways. So comment below. Let us know how you are making a good example, how you're being a good example, or even better yet, who has been a good example to you?
Do you have an example of who's been a good example to you,
I have so many.
or goals of what a good example you want to be going forward?
So many. I really do. I really do. Behind every good woman is a good mentor, is what I say. No. I do. I have so many professional mentors. I have so many wonderful personal friends. I have people that I will, be open and honest and real with in my church community. And so I think there's a lot of people that I highly look up to. One person that I look up to a ton and I still think about is my grandmother. And so she's not somebody who's here with me on earth anymore, but I still think in my frame of reference or my mindset, what would GP say? What would she think about this, or what advice might she give me? And so that's still somebody that I think very highly of. And when I'm kind of going through things, I, say a little something to her, or I may contact a family member or a friend who knew her and just kind of talk about it. What about you? Anybody who's been a good example or role model for you?
There are a few. I can't think of any like specifics off the top of my head, but it's more just like the people who I've built friendships with, and the people who support me and love me, but in
As you
spite of
are.
all my imperfections. Um, so yeah, but I will say I was going to go more towards some of those things I'm working on this year
Oh,
with my
okay.
boys to try and set a better example. Is like, um, again, I spoke earlier about like acknowledging our mistakes, right? But when I'm driving in a car, and I might have comments about the way someone else is driving,
No.
and never. Um, but I try to be conscious, and they're like, "Why did they do that?" Or I've heard them at times being like, "Why did that car cut you off?" Or "Why did this?" And they're starting to make comments, right? And so I'm like, "Well, maybe they're just." I try to like, maybe they're having a
reframe.
bad day, maybe it didn't bother us. We weren't in a car wreck. It's okay. Like, we're just going to let it go and not let it bother our day. So I'm trying really, really hard to
It is
not
hard.
hold on to those emotional things I can't control, right? All that outside input that I could latch onto, and it could ruin my day, or I can just be like, maybe they're having a worse day than I am, and that was their outlet, and it's okay. So
I will
It's real
say
hard.
it is a real challenge to, we make up the story of what's happening when we don't always
Yes.
know the facts, whether it's traffic or our partner or
Mhm.
our coworkers at work. And so, if we can try to help ourselves reframe that, not only does it help set a good example for others, but it helps you kind of be in a better mindset
Oh yeah, because I
altogether.
could write so many like telenovelas and
Ah!
novels with the stories in my head of where these
Oh my
people are going and
goodness.
what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. But we all can be a good example or set a good example in so many ways. And if you have someone who has been a good example to you, we want to challenge you to reach out if you can and say thank you, or just to think about them and think about how they have been a good example to you. We'd love to hear your thoughts about how you're setting examples or where you're struggling and needing support, or who's been a good example for you.
So again, February 26th, National Set a Good Example Day. Go out and set good examples.
Good luck.